Welcome to Talladega Superspeedway, otherwise known as the world's fastest closed course stock car facility. This massive 2.66 mile high banked oval was built back in 1969 on what was a former World War II military base. Now, if you mention the word Talladega to a race fan, they're going to think of three things: incredible speed, spectacular photo finishes, and some of those memorable wild crashes. You owe it to yourself to come here for a race, but if you can't get here on one of those weekends, you can still relive all those memories by going to a museum just behind this banking, which is where we're going to take you today on this episode of Top Coat's Magnificent Machines. Welcome to Top Coat's Magnificent Machines. We are inside the International Motorsports Hall of Fame here at Talladega Superspeedway. I'm Dr. Jerry Punch, along with Director of Public Relations Russell Branham. And Russell, we're talking about speed and records, and it all started with a car like this and a driver named Buddy Baker.
Well, you know, Talladega Superspeedway was built back in 1969 by Bill France Sr., and his whole idea was to build a palace of speed. So in 1970, in March, Buddy Baker came here, and of course, you know, he was the gentle giant. His right foot was heavy, heavy, heavy. And the goal was, during a test session here, was to crack 200 miles per hour, to be the first person to go over 200 on a closed course. And on March 24th, 1970, Buddy Baker did just that at 200.4 miles per hour.
When it comes to speed at Talladega, Buddy Baker may have been the first, but this guy, Bill Elliott, was the fastest, 212 miles per hour in 1987. That led everyone to call Bill Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, because indeed, when you're that fast, you're pretty awesome. But Bill already had a few other nicknames that had come a couple of years earlier, Russell, because he won some pretty special races and a lot of money.
He absolutely did. So back in 1985, there was a promotion where you could win $1 million bonus if you won 3 out of the 4 crown jewel races in NASCAR. Bill won the Daytona 500, and then he came here trying to get that second leg of the $1 million, was leading the race, had a problem, started smoking. Everyone thought he'd blown a motor. They come in, it's a broken oil line. They fix the problem, get him back out, and he's literally within 200 yards of going down 2 full laps here. So added up, 2.66 miles. It was over 5 miles. He actually made it up under the green, won the race. He didn't win Charlotte, but he went on and won the $1 million at Darlington, South Carolina.
And thus the new nickname, $1 Million Bill. No question, those Elliott brothers were amazing. In fact, the whole family set records over the years. But how about one where they prepared a car for someone else to set a record? October 1988, Lynn St. James driving an Elliott-prepared car, this Thunderbird, to an all-time record for a closed course at 212.577 miles per hour. She became the national women's record holder. In fact, would drive this car later to 16 more national and international records. Talladega Superspeedway, known for unpredictable, hold-your-breath finishes. No better example of that than in 1981 when Ron Bouchard made a pass on the final lap within 150 feet of the checkered flag to go underneath Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte, 3 cars across. He wins it by 2 feet and uses that victory to go on and become the 1981 Rookie of the Year. Now get this, Ron Bouchard becomes the 4th of 6 drivers to get their first and only victory in NASCAR's Premier Series, all of them coming here at Talladega. One thing that I really like about the Hall of Fame is that they have kept the original appearance of the cars. They look exactly like they did when they rolled off the racetrack back in the day, with scratches, dents, and maybe even a little rust. It's all part of the charm of these legendary machines. Russell, tell me about the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. You know, what is this and why was it developed?
Well, it was put here back in the mid-'80s. Bill France Sr., Bill France Jr., they wanted to build a Hall of Fame here at Talladega, and I would put the collection of stock cars and the memorabilia that we've got here up against any other Hall of Fame, any other museum. You've walked through here and you've seen cars from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up until today. And you've also seen some other kinds of cars too. IndyCar, road racing cars, go-karts, motorcycles, you name it. If it has wheels on it, we've got it. The race cars are here, and when you look at them, you remember things that happened in history. So the moments that made what NASCAR is today and motorsports in general, we've got it right here. When you take this tour, you see it. If you remember it from way back when, you get goosebumps, and if you haven't seen it back in the past, you can read about it, and it gets you excited about it.
We see a lot of good-looking cars on this show, and this is another magnificent machine. This is a 1956 Ford Big Window F100, and this truck is gorgeous, Scott.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. This paint is flawless, you know, which comes full circle, you know, in day-to-day living. People come up to us all the time. I mean, I get asked constantly, how do I even make get my car to look this good, you know? We get it all the time.
Oh yeah, and especially when you can do just a spray and wipe, and
Right.
it's so easy, eliminates all the old way of doing things.
Totally, totally. All the traditional methods out the window. And more importantly, in today's day and age, we don't have that time. You know, we don't have that luxury of hours and hours and all these products, you know, all the time. You know, I guarantee you open your cabinet, it's full of products. Well, not anymore, not with that
Right. Right, one product to replace everything and do it better.
Literally, yeah. I mean, you're doing everything. Glass, paints, you know, engines, door jams, rims. I mean, there's nothing you're not doing with just that single product.
And you're doing it in minutes, not hours.
That's right, that's right.
And not only can you have a gorgeous truck like this look this good, but you can have your everyday grocery getter look just as good.
Yeah, and that's the great part. So, you know, whether you clean it today with F11, okay, it's gonna look great tomorrow, but if you maintain it with F11, it's always gonna look amazing. So if you wanna learn more, you can always go to topcoat.tv.
Now, we've shown you a lot of magnificent machines. How about a few mangled ones, like Ricky Craven's Monte Carlo or Neil Bonnett's Chevrolet Lumina? Now, this place, the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, has some one-of-a-kind exhibits and displays you won't find anywhere else. What a special day here at Talladega, Alabama. When we come back, we're going to learn more about a family and their friends that everyone grew to know as the Alabama Gang.
Top Coat's Magnificent Machines is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. Borla, the world's most winning exhaust. And by Top Coat. Don't just coat it, top coat it.
Welcome back to Top Coat's Magnificent Machines, coming to you from the International Motorsports Hall of Fame here in Talladega, Alabama. Now, you can't come to Alabama without talking about the Alabama Gang. How about Robert Arthur Allison? Bobby Allison, we all know he was the leader of the Alabama Gang, and this was one of the cars he drove early in his career driving for a guy named Roger Penske.
The thing I really like about this car, first of all, another great paint scheme that we've got here in the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, but also the fact that who would have thought that a driver could take an AMC Matador and win in NASCAR? This guy's the guy who did it. And I'll tell you another significant point about him, being that he's from Alabama and we're his home track here at Talladega. He won at Talladega 4 times, and he won with 4 different car owners, 4 different kinds of makes of cars. So that shows you that guy could drive anything, especially here at Talladega.
He was the undisputed leader of the Alabama Gang. Now, meaning he was a leader, there had to be followers, and indeed there were quite a few. Davey Allison was the oldest of Bobby and Judy Allison's 4 children, and there was no question he was going to follow in his father's footsteps. But he really had his early success right here at Talladega, especially on a race in May that people remember for a different reason.
Absolutely. You know, he actually won 4 ARCA races here before he had the success here in 1987 of winning his first Cup Series race. And then he added another win in the IROC Series. So this track was always good to him on the racetrack. He loved the super speedways. He won 3 Cup races here overall. And the state of Alabama just really, really loved this guy.
Well, Davey Allison was on the track that day when his dad, Bobby, got airborne and tore part of the fence down. But when the day was over, it was rookie Davey Allison going to victory lane for the first time in his career. In fact, he became the first rookie driver to win a race in NASCAR's Premier Series since Ron Bouchard did it right here in 1981. There have been some great moments in NASCAR history, but none any better than the final lap of the 1988 Daytona 500. This is probably the view that Davey Allison had as he battled his famous father for the checkered flag at Daytona. Now, earlier in that race, Richard Petty had a violent rollover crash in turn 4. He was okay. Everyone thought, well, that's the excitement for the day. But that was more to come. In the final lap, it was Bobby and Davey, Davey trying to get by. And at the checkered flag, it was Bobby Allison by 2 car lengths over son Davey, becoming the oldest driver in Daytona 500 history to win it at the age of 50. Clifford Allison was the youngest member of the Alabama gang, the youngest son of Bobby Allison and younger brother to Davey. He had so much potential. So many people thought Clifford really was going to be just like Davey and maybe get into the Cup Series and start winning races right away. Unfortunately, in August of 1992, in a practice crash at Michigan, he lost his life at the age of 27. This is a 1969 Talladega Torino. That's what they called him back then, driven by Donnie Allison, another member of the Alabama gang. Yes, the younger brother to Bobby and uncle to Davey and Clifford. Now, Donnie's racing career spanned some 20 years in which he secured 10 major NASCAR victories, but he may be best remembered for what happened on the final laps off the racetrack at Daytona in 1979. The race was winding down, and suddenly Kel Yarborough and Donnie come together. They climb out of their cars. There's brawling, fisticuffs on live national CBS television. Bobby Allison joins in. That brawl may have put NASCAR on the map. Well, this car was driven by another member of the Alabama gang. No, not by birth. He was not an Allison, but by invitation. His name was Neil Bonnet, and he was a protege of Bobby Allison. He was a charismatic, easy to get along with, soft-spoken individual who could drive a race car, and Bobby Allison loved.
Tell you what, he could flat out drive a race car. You talk about smooth, he was smooth on the racetrack. I always thought he was great in the television booth too, Doc.
He was so easy to get along with, and the fans loved listening to him. He was soft-spoken, like you and I were sitting on a sofa talking about, with friends. That's the way he came across on camera. Neil Bonnet, one of the greatest guys ever to be around in the sport, loved by fans, loved by the Alabama gang, and certainly missed because he was gone way too soon. Red Farmer is the oldest member of the Alabama gang. Born in Nashville, Tennessee, he came to Hueytown in Bessemer, Alabama, and became friends with the Allisons and has been racing ever since. Now, he's somewhere between 86 and 91 years old, depending upon who you talk to, and he's still racing. And he has the oldest continuous sponsorship in NASCAR history. This Ford dealership has been with him for over 60 years. And yes, he still races every Saturday night on a dirt track just down the street. So many great champions here in the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, and we are so excited to show them to you and tell their stories when Top Coat's Magnificent Machines comes back in just a moment. Welcome back to Top Coat's Magnificent Machines. You know, one of my favorite rags to riches, only in America story of a stock car driver involves that of Alan Kulwicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin. You know, Alan was an incredible short track driver in the Midwest, but in 1985, he sold it all with hopes of coming south some 800 miles to Charlotte to race in NASCAR's Premier Series.
In 1992, he would take this car to Atlanta, and again, an underdog big time behind Davey Allison and Bill Elliott. He would lead the most laps, do exactly what he needed to do, and take home the championship. Just really unheard of.
He asked Ford Motor Company to let him take the TH off the Thunderbird on the front of his car, so it said Underbird. He said, you know what? I'm an underdog in the Underbird. And guess what? On that day, November of 1992, the Underdog became a NASCAR champion. You talk about a driver who can get the most out of a car. Alan Kulwicki certainly could. How about Bobby Isaac? Isaac was known as a fearless qualifier. This 1969 Dodge he used to set a record, winning 20 poles on the season in '69. In fact, Isaac would win the 1970 NASCAR championship, but he may be remembered mostly for something he did off the track. He took this car and this team to Bonneville and set 28 speed records for a stock car on the Bonneville Salt Flats. Another one of the great cars from a NASCAR legend that's enshrined here in the International Motorsports Hall of Fame is that of Darrell Waltrip. Old DW, a three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, and also, by the way, three-time runner-up. This car was very special to DW for lots of reasons.
Well, for lots of reasons, because it's a Chevrolet Monte Carlo, which the thing that I like about this car was not only did he win his third championship in it, but this back glass, this is something that you didn't really see back in the early 80s when they first brought the Monte Carlo back to NASCAR. And one thing, too, about Darrell, he made his first ever career start here at Talladega in 1972.
And DW was also known for being loud and aggressive. Loud meaning he was had a nickname called Jaws because he didn't mind chatting a little bit, which was exciting for the fans and for everybody involved except for the other drivers he was talking about. And he was aggressive on the racetrack.
And he backed up everything he said. That's what made a lot of fans in the 1970s really not like him, because he was beating the likes of Petty, Pierce, and Allison, and he was saying he was going to do it. But then go forward about 20 years, all the fans just fell in love with him. It's sort of weird how it all transpired, but he did what he said he was going to do. He was going to win, and he did it a lot of times in this Junior Johnson car.
And Jaws became a jewel before his career was over. One of the most iconic color schemes in NASCAR history is a black and white numeral Goodwrench Chevrolet for seven-time champion Dale Earnhardt. Not only was Earnhardt successful in a lot of racetracks, he was the most successful driver at Talladega Superspeedway.
One of the things that really is ironic about the number 3, the 3 may not have even made it to where it is today, because had Richard Childress not been here at Talladega in 1969. The first race here in 69, we had the driver walkout. Richard Childress was competing in the Saturday smaller NASCAR Grand Touring race. He ran that race, he got the purse money, took everything that he had, went back to North Carolina and built his first shop. RCR was born.
How about that? That's how it all started, and it all ended here in October of 2000, Dale Earnhardt's final win here. And folks, he came from 18th with 3 laps to go. I had the pleasure of calling that race on television, and somehow he won it. And we went off the air, and I looked at my colleague Benny Parsons, and I said, I don't believe what we saw. That's not humanly possible. Benny said, he's not human, he's Earnhardt. You cannot talk about racing royalty and legends without mentioning this guy in the 43, who needs no introduction, the Petty Blue Orange Dodge of the King Richard Petty. 200 career victories, the all-time most in NASCAR history.
And I can remember as a kid, I was 9 years old, I remember watching this car, and it was such a beauty out on the racetrack. And you know, Richard Petty's here as a part of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, and to have him here, to have his car here, and to know how dominant this was for 2 years and capturing all those wins and championships, it's just a thrill for us to have it here.
Talk about some incredible cars. Coming up on Top Coat's Magnificent Machines, we're going to show you a rocket car, so stay tuned.
Top Coat's Magnificent Machines is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977. And by Top Coat, the best coatings in the world.
Welcome back to Top Coat's Magnificent Machines. This museum is filled with incredible cars and fabulous memories. For example, look at this 1964 Ford Galaxy driven by Dwayne Tiny Lund. Now, we called him Tiny, but he was anything but. At 6'5", 270 pounds. He was a 3-time Grand American champion and won 3 of the 4 years they ran that series. And also, this car actually ran in 65 and won at Columbia, South Carolina, and Martinsville. But his claim to fame, Russell, was what happened in Daytona 2 years earlier.
Go back to 1963 for the Daytona 500. Marvin Panch, who was a regular driver for the Wood Brothers, got injured in a testing accident down in Daytona, a fiery crash. So what are the Wood Brothers going to do? We got to find another driver. And so they said, you know what Tiny Lund did to save Marvin Panch? He actually saved him and pulled him from the car. So they put Tiny Lund in the car, and lo and behold, he goes and wins the biggest race of the year, the Daytona 500. Super, super big win for the Wood Brothers and a great story for NASCAR.
We promised you a rocket car, and folks, here it is. This is the famous Budweiser rocket car that attempted to break the land speed record in 1979. Now owned by Hollywood stunt legend Hal Needham and driven by stunt coordinator, stuntman, and actor Stan Barrett. This car was incredible. And look at the power that they have in these engines back here.
Jerry, can you imagine going over 700 miles per hour in this thing with these forged aluminum wheels? I mean, I just can't imagine it.
48,000 horsepower from a liquid hydrogen peroxide rocket engine. Oh, and this 12,000 horsepower Sidewinder missile. Now they ran at 720, 725, and finally got to 739 miles per hour for Stan Barrett. And then, after driving a rocket car, he got a chance to be a NASCAR driver the following year.
That's exactly right, Jerry. So in the early 80s, Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds decided to create a team in the Cup Series of NASCAR, and they brought on the guy who drove this one, Stan Barrett. Stan Barrett drove a little bit for him in the number 22 car. Then they brought this other guy to help him. His name was Harry Gant.
Handsome Harry.
Handsome Harry. He became the Skull Bandit, and the rest is history. Won a lot of races, including here at Talladega.
Folks, Richie Evans was known as Mr. Modified. The Rome, New York driver won 9 NASCAR National Modified Championships, including 8 in a row from 1978 to 1985. In fact, he was so popular, this color was named Evans Orange, and many drivers for years to come wanted to paint their cars Evans Orange. By the way, this car was a modified, a 1978 Chevrolet Camaro that ran at Daytona and here at Talladega with fenders modifying the front of the car. In other words, a modified covered fenders in super speedway competition.
As we wind up our visit to the Hall of Fame, we have one last item to show you. This is a mock-up of a Shelby Cobra body that has been widened to make room for big and tall drivers. It's made out of wood and fiberglass, and it even had Carroll Shelby's approval. Unfortunately, he died before it could become a reality. But it's so unique that we give it this week's Top Coat Top Pick Award. That winds up this edition of Top Coat's Magnificent Machines, and we hope you've enjoyed this NASCAR-themed episode. Next week, we're heading to one of the world's biggest air shows, the Air Venture in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. There are all sorts of unique airplanes on the ground and in the sky, so be sure to join us. I'm Jerry Punch.